Hello. So it's been a while. I've been busy creating the new Master Miracle Manifest 6-week course, and I'm on the last chapter of the book to go with it. But that's not why I'm on here today. So I've been going through something personal. I didn't even realize actually at the time. So I just kind of want to talk to you about complex trauma. Believe it or not, the whole side of like everything happens for a reason and life happens for you, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time, but it really does. So let me give you some background of why or where mine has come from. So I think it was around 2016 to 2017, probably before that because there was two characters involved. I experienced really high levels of narcissistic mental abuse, which led to trauma, all the things that were used against me, all that good stuff. Not good stuff, but yeah. So that kind of led on to around 2020, 2022. In between that time, we were going through the challenges of COVID, and the government were smashing out all these different regulations, get all these confusions, all these different tactics that people had to follow, and blah blah blah, all that. And for me, that triggered going back into the feelings, emotions, playing out the patterns that I went through. It's really odd. Like complex trauma is quite odd. Like PTSD is a single event where trauma is caused from that, and it's just one event. Whereas complex trauma is a series of multiple events, and they kind of build up. And because the brain can't process it all in one go, it will generally split up and fraction. Oh, I can't think of the word now. But yeah, so that's what happened to me during 2020, 2022. It wasn't nice. If you've ever gone through complex trauma, which you might have if you're listening to this, it's not a nice experience. It really isn't. So yesterday, I went to my coach. I knew something wasn't right. Something was off. I wasn't feeling myself. Someone I know had passed away recently, and I didn't realize that it was a trigger for me of going back into my past around these situations and different things. So that was what was going on. I didn't understand. So I went in to the coach and I was like, right, this is what's going on for me, blah, blah, blah. A list of 6 things, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 all this. And then he was like, nope, we need to do parts. So that's kind of like where you bring all these different parts because when you go through trauma, it what's the word? Fragments. So fragments into pieces and all that kind of thing. And then when you kind of experience it, re-experience it, it's like being in survival mode, but you can't put your finger on what it is that's causing you this thing. And then you kind of work out the trigger eventually. And like for me, it was literally after listening to someone yesterday around their experience and what they had been going through around grief, and how it triggered something for them, and complex trauma had reared its head. And as professionals, I think that sometimes we can do our best to recalibrate ourselves, because we know so many different things to flip things around, techniques, walking, all that good stuff. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's the point where you know that you need to go to another professional. But we can't see our own blind spots sometimes, which is where, and I ignored this because I work my universal support team of guides. I'm quite lucky because they'll show me numbers. I work with the universal numbers to say, hey, you know, you need to stop, you need to take notice of this, blah, blah, blah. And I was seeing like lots of 444s, which is don't worry, everything's okay. And 666, balance your thoughts out. And I was like, what the hell? I haven't seen this kind of magnitude off them for a while. And like last week I had 2626, which is meaning to stop and take time out to be human. And I was like, well, what the hell? I don't get it. Why? And I know I needed rest, but come to the conclusion this week and not feeling myself and grief and everything mixed up into one. Yeah, it's come to a head, and the realization that it was actually complex trauma I was experiencing. So I just wanted to, so this is what I did yesterday actually. Before I start, I went back to my own book that I published in 2022, which I wrote during, I think it was from 2018 till 2022, when we was going through the COVID experience. And I put loads of different techniques in there, how to notice the signs, all that good stuff. So I'll just, in case you ever go through complex trauma and you don't know what it is, like myself, where even though I'm trained in it and I didn't spot it for myself this time because I was in the emotion, just being aware of the signs can be helpful, so you can kind of do something with it or go and see a professional around it. Yeah, so like generally these are just, well, it's quite a big list actually, but I won't read them all. So when you're going through complex trauma, you can experience like flashbacks, like reliving the memory and the emotions in your body, the past surfacing and interfering with the present, because your unconscious part of your mind, when it's been triggered, believe it or not, the trigger is a positive thing in the long run, because it's giving you an opportunity to heal something that you can't see. And so when that awareness is brought around it, you're able to see it. It's like a hole in the wall, I guess. Until you see it, you can't fix it or do anything with it, isn't it, right? Nightmares. I totally ignored this last week. I was talking to someone, I was like, oh my god, I'm having these really weird dreams. I was like, oh, it's the moon phases and blah blah blah. Nah, it wasn't. Physical sensations such as sweating, panic attacks, feeling sick, shakes, stomach pains, chest pains, dizziness, headaches, and sometimes feeling numb. So the numbness would come into under the depression kind of things, where you kind of disconnect from your emotions. So like feeling withdrawn, you might be on autopilot doing things. And like this week I joked that I was being really early in work, my Burton's through job thing. And I was like, yeah, I know something's not right because I'm early. This is not normal for me. And I laughed it off. It was true. Yeah, so you got the feeling isolated and alone, which is another reason why I want to put this video out, because going through complex trauma can make you feel like that, when you don't know what's going on for yourself. It's quite challenging, you know. You go into fight or flight, freeze or fawn, anxiety, depression, lack of self-esteem and confidence, which is where I guess that I was picking up on, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, all that stuff. Not being able to concentrate on small things, feeling confused, frustrated, angry due to not knowing what started or triggered the complex trauma. Avoiding things and people that are related to the trauma, things like friends, just not talking to people, that kind of thing. And your sleep pattern. I noticed mine went out last week. I went back into waking up really early, like 5 o'clock in the morning, before my alarm goes off. And for me, going to bed late and waking up really early should have rang alarm bells, but it didn't. I ignored it. So there's that. And then OCD, because generally when you kind of isolate yourself more, your OCD will kick up more, and it'll kick up more as well when you are stressed. Using work and as an avoidance tactic to keep yourself busy, this is massive, because that's what we do. If we can't process emotions, because they go around in the head, go round and round and round, ruminating, thinking about everything, what's going on, blah, 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 then it keeps you stuck. And so you think, I'll do some work instead because that's what I do. But when you learn to come down into the heart and work with someone who perhaps does mBIT, like myself, then you can bring all those thoughts down into the heart and gut and the brain to process. A nice relaxing way to do it. It could be like dysfunctional thinking patterns where your brain starts going off on one. Masking how you feel and what you're showing is totally different to the inside. Disassociation. So this is massive. I used to experience this quite a lot until I've had coaching with my coach. And in fact, I said thank you to him last week because it was massive. For instance, like when I used to speak to people, I don't know, I can't separate it from trauma or whether it's a neurodiverse thing. But anyway, when I used to be talking to people having conversations, I would disassociate and I wouldn't be in my body. I'd be floating around. I wouldn't be taking any notice. And now I've noticed this year that I don't do that anymore, which is really good, whether that's because I've learned techniques or because of the personal development I've done myself. So yeah, and the last one I've got here is like perfectionism. Everything has to be right. Everything has to be done correct, that kind of thing. So like, what can you do when you go through these kind of things? The first thing is if you notice what you're going through, because sometimes you can be aware of it, sometimes you're not. It depends, depends. Just stop and pause and remember to be kind to yourself because you are human at the end of the day. And perhaps make a list of things that you love doing. For me, it's walking, spending time with people that I love, cherish, and who nurture me. Taking away stresses that might be adding to where you are right now, because that's one of the simplest things that you could do is take away stresses. Because you don't want things that are depleting you. You want things that are going to energize you. So yeah, but if you want to look more deeper into this and how or what the things are good around complex trauma, then you can kind of check out my book, Sporology, Reflection, Self, The Road Back to Me, because everything that I've gone through is literally in here. This started out as a personal journal, and my guides were like, you need to turn this into a book now because other people have gone through similar things. And my biggest thing is that you do sometimes feel alone when you go through trauma and horrible experiences, but you're not. You really are not. So at the end of that, I just want to add that, like, for me, because I've been working and developing my mindset, and writing about it, really turning in thoughts into like a master mindset. My universal team of guides have been helping me to build a master mindset, and one part of this is like I get 25-25 because I work with numbers, and because I'm neurodivergent, I work really well with patterns and noticing things like that. So numbers is my thing. And I'll see 25-25. So this is a reminder to come out of like the effect side of life, and that everything happens for a reason and life happens for you. Believe it or not, because of the law of polarity, there is always, so you've got the negative, positive, like on a spectrum, there is always an opportunity to take the positive learnings from it. Not always when you're actually going through the experience though, but when you're coming out the other side and you're able to like gain clarity from it, and your brain kind of puts the pieces together, which is what the parts integration has done, the NLP technique, which is good. So the positives for me that I've taken away is that I've added the things that I've recognized this time around to my prevention list, which is pinned up on my bedroom door on the inside, so nobody else can see it, but all you lovely guys know about it now. But that's what I have, because I can go through complex trauma now and again, or it's things around like neurodiversities, because I am or what was it? I call it Asperger's, autism level 1, and ADHD. So ADHD. So that's me. And so I've got like a list in my door, a bedroom door. It's got like a whole list of phone numbers, who I can contact, and different things to connect with. Loads of different things, techniques that I do, things that helpful like walking, eating good food, meditating, asking my universal team of guides to help guide or intervene on my behalf, and then using the universal numbers as guidance to connect them, because we can't always see our own blind spots, and it can be challenging when you're in your own emotions, which is why it can be good to get an outside point of view from somebody else, a professional, a friend, someone on the outside. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. If you're going through this right now, because we generally go through universal experiences, it's just we experience it on an individual level. Hope that makes sense. So I know I'm not the only one going through this right now. So I hope you're well, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.